Welcome to the Big Mo Pod Show with producer Noah. My name is John Heim, a.k.a. Big Mo, and I run a blues broadcast called, strangely enough, the Big Mo Blues Show. It's a 3-hour blues program that's aired by KCCK Radio from Kirkwood Community College in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. I've been playing blues live on the air 6 to 9 p.m. Friday evenings for over 20 years. I've also been a musician and taught music in Iowa public schools for over 25 years, but don't hold that against me, please. So by no popular demand, we decided to start a podcast. We did a survey and found that listeners wanted to hear more about songs I played during a show. We decided that the best way to do this was to create a game called Why'd You Play That? It's a mashup of Drop the Needle and Name That Tune, where I'll try to debunk the notion that disc jockeys never remember what they play or why they played it, and try not to look too stupid. You can check your own blues knowledge against mine, and this will be a chance to learn a bit about how I do things and the thoughts that go behind a show. Well, joining me in the Singing Cowboy studio with all the knobs and dials is my trusty 20-something sidekick, producer Noah, with the game rules such as they are, and other producer stuff.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. We are going to look through 5 or so songs for June 20th show, 2025, and I will be asking the evergreen question, why did John play that? He will, A, try to identify a song, B, say something about the artist, and C, finally, why'd he play it? We don't have a point system, but making up the rules is a part of our game. So let's get started with track number 1.
There it is. I was waiting for the pedal steel. And there it is. Yeah, I kind of remember that section. I think this is a new release from Robert Randolph. I'm not sure. I can't remember. It probably isn't. It's probably one that's been out there, but it's one I hadn't heard before. So it was Robert Randolph and the Family Band. Oh, and it's something about sin, because those guys are the sacred steel players, and they have to play sacred music and secular music and everything in between. And I sin something, but I'm not sure. What is it, Noah?
It's Sinner.
Hey, I was close. But I'd lose a point, though. Why'd I play that? Well, because I try to play Robert Randolph about every 2 weeks. And it was time to play some Robert Randolph. And I always like Robert Randolph. I mean, holy smoke. Be able to play that well and be able to play rock music with a pedal steel, play sacred music with a pedal steel, and everything with the pedal steel is, to me, quite remarkable. And they got really good rock chops. And it's really fun to play them on the air. I always enjoy getting roused up by a little gospel music on a Friday night too. So, Robert Randolph's been a part of our lives for about the last 15, 20 years. So it was time to play him, so I played him.
So how did you end up starting to play him every 2 weeks or so? Was it just kind of discovering him and liking him that much, or was there any kind of story or reason behind that?
No, I just have been playing him ever since he came out. And I was just stupefied. I don't know how else to say it, to the way he played, and it was just like, the sun coming up. It was like, holy smoke, there's a completely new sound in the blues and in rock. And nobody else does it. Nobody else can play a steel guitar like, I suppose they can. But man, to always have such a in the pocket, totally funky bass player and drummer, great rhythm section. And he's always got another hot 6-string guitar player. And Robert Randolph can play 6 strings himself. So, I don't know if I answered your question or not, but that's why I play him, is because it's really good stuff, and it's really different, and it's distinctive. The minute I heard, even that pocket you played, not very many people could find that pocket, that deep a good pocket. And then once that steel guitar came in, I knew instantly, it had to be him. And that's why I play him.
Yeah, I really like the way you put finding that artist, like the sun coming up. That's a really good way to put that. Well, I've never heard it quite that way before, and it does capture the feeling perfectly. That's always one of the best feelings in music, when there's just something you didn't even have an idea of, and it just slaps you in the face and changes your whole taste forever.
Well, it doesn't happen very often, and he really did that to me. There's a few others, Stevie Ray Vaughan, and, the first time I heard him, I just went, holy, what is this freak of nature? What is this? And of course, Jimi Hendrix, I remember hearing a local band up on the stage at the county fair doing Fire. Jimi Hendrix. Da, 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 da. So, that happens whether you're in music or whether you're in research or whether you're digging a post hole. There always comes that aha moment. And you go, I get it. And that's what I try to do on Friday nights, too, is find music that will aha you. That's why I don't play anything more than once. That's why a lot of things happen,
Yeah, you want to give people that eureka moment.
Yeah.
So here's to more of those in the future, and maybe even right now with track number 2.
Could be. I could find your monkey nerve. I think that sounds like Dwayne Betts. Although the sax thing in there I didn't recognize. And you're dropping the needle on me. That's well into that tune. I think that's the Allman Betts band that were just here. And I do not remember the name of the tune. Is it like a crawling king snake kind of thing?
That's very, very close.
What was it?
King Crawler.
Wow. Boy, that is close. Maybe it's their takeoff on crawling king snake. I don't know. Well, yeah, they were just in town. The reason I played that. Oh, there are a lot of us that didn't go to the concert and maybe want to hear a little Allman Betts kind of thing. So that's why I played it. Yeah. And it's a good up-tempo tune, Allman Betts is kind of generally laid back and, but this is an up-tempo tune. So that's why I played it.
Now, I'm not familiar with these guys too much, but it sounds like they either have a relation to the Allman Brothers Band or are based off of them. Is it one of the people from the band that went on with this one, or like what's the story with that?
It's second generation, both of them. Dwayne Allman's son, Devin, and Dickie Betts's son, Dwayne, who is named after Dwayne Allman. And that's the Allman Betts band. And Dwayne and Dickie were the double lead guitars for the Allman Brothers for years. Well, just for 3 or 4 years until Dwayne Allman was killed in a motorcycle accident in the early 70s. And then it was just a series of other guitar players plus Dickie Betts and Greg Allman. Well, they all had family, and the family turned out to be a second generation of musicians. So both Dwayne and Dickie are in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and Blues Hall of Fame. We'll see what these guys do, you know. So play them on the air. They're the second generation. How about that? There's a bunch of that in the blues. It's kind of gone from music to common people to music of or music royalty. You know, you got Shemeka Copeland, you got Dwayne and Devin. I bet everyone out there can think of 2 or 3 of the second generation. You got the Baker Brooks family. You know, you got Lonnie and Ronnie. Well, wait a minute. Is that right? Now, I can't remember. Anyway, that's all funny in that to me is the irony is the blues starts out as everyone's music, and now it's starting to get wrapped up in lineage and its own royalty. So there you go. Blues is changing.
Yeah, I mean, with anything lasting that long, it was bound to happen. You were going to have people passing the torch on to the next generation. I mean, especially with those kids, I would have a hard time imagining someone being raised around musical people that wouldn't rub off on them in some way. That would be hard to imagine.
Yeah. And it did.
But now we are going to see which generation of artists played this song. This will be track number 3.
What will it be? Can you guess? Rockin' 6. Brown liquor might kill me first. That's Brown Liquor. I know the name of that one, and that's brand new. That's from singer-guitarist, songwriter Allie Venable with special guest Christone Kingfish Ingram. And that's brand new, brand spanking new. They're kind of, Christone Kingfish Ingram is kind of making the rounds and playing with other people, and so is Allie Venable. And they're getting the old jazz ideas where the way jazz works is you just go play with a guy and then you go on and play with the next guy. And blues artists are doing that too now. They're not so much wrapping themselves up in an ensemble where your only way of expression is through a group. And these people are solo artists, and they're going out and working with other solo artists. And it's happening a lot. And that's fine with me. I think that's sometimes you get a little competition, brings the best out of people. And so we'll listen to their music and enjoy it and then go on to the next. So, yeah. Allie Venable, I played it because it's brand new, and I always love songs about brown liquor. I got a song for the that used to be on the jukebox at his bar at my favorite bartender's bar, and it was Bob Margolin doing brown liquor in a dirty glass. So when I saw the title Brown Liquor come up, I went right on to listen to it. So, yeah, if it don't kill her first.
Yeah, that has become just about inseparable from the blues at this point.
It has. Well, it always has been inseparable.
Now, do you know much about these new artists, like where they came from and how they got started?
I don't know much about Allie Venable. I really don't. Now, it's under her. Oh, she's kind of a rock blueser, rock first, blues second, and in her music. But, she's a woman, and I wanted to make sure I had good female representation during the show. And this was a pretty good tune. And it's a new single, I believe. So I'll promote that. I'll play that on my air. And yeah, I don't really. Now, Kingfish came from Clarksdale, and has been just tearing things up. But Allie Venable, I don't know much about, so I can't really answer your question that good. I'm sorry, I can't be more informational.
That's fair, though. They're pretty new, so give them some time, and they'll create a little bit of history that you can read up on.
Well, and I haven't played Allie Venable that much. It was more rock than blues, and I kind of stayed away from her for a couple albums. And now this single, well, it was rocking, so we'll see what she produces.
Talking about rock blues, you got me thinking, where does rock blues kind of rate for you amongst the blues genres? And I'm looking for more of a subjective take here. Like, how do you like it compared to the other genres?
Well, the blues had a baby and they called it rock and roll. And rock and the blues have just been tangled up since the very beginning. That's part of what I try to show play on my show is cover all the eras of the blues, whether it be rhythm and blues going back to the 50s with like Ruth Brown and Ray Charles, or the bluesier side with going back into the 30s, Black Ace and Leroy Carr and those guys. And then come up through the 50s in Chicago and Memphis, and then the 60s and 70s and right up until, and I just try to represent all those different time periods that blues go through and stick a representative of each one of those eras into my show. So that's really what I'm going for.
Yeah, it's a worthy endeavor. I always respect that because there's a lot of things that people need to hear.
Well, and then I try not to repeat too much, but you get back into some of the people, they just have historically great songs. So, yeah, you can dig around for other titles in their library, but you're liable to get something kind of junky. So the best known ones are about the best ones, playing Mannish Boy if you're Muddy Waters, and that's a Willie Dixon song. So, it's stuff like that. It's representative. And you get into Leroy Carr and it's just some people's life work has been out there for a while, and it's easy to know what the best cuts are if you just go looking and listening.
That's very true. And you touched on something I think that's really important to note is how rock and roll kind of came from the blues, because I don't hear very many people actually bring that up in a lot of common conversation. I feel like a lot of people don't know that.
Yeah, well, it's too bad because they're both art forms are both genres are so rich and deep and have been well plowed, and the blues have been around and the rock's been around, and people have steered it in different directions, and they're both so pliable and malleable and mixable. It's like the blues is the universal solvent of American music. You know, everything, all the music of the Americas has just a touch of blues in it. Even the mountain music of, the Appalachia, there's a touch of maybe not direct influence, but people had contact with each other, and music just spreads around like a virus, and everybody everybody takes their turn. You know.
Yeah, we've got a lot to be thankful for from blues artists, so remember to do that every once in a while, folks. And you should probably do that pretty soon because we're going to move on to another track. This will be number 4.
Oh, Miss Maybelle, can I be your hopping frog? Yeah, well, I'll drink muddy water, sleep in a hollow log. Yeah, well, oh, Miss Maybelle, can I be your hopping frog?
Oh, that's so good. That small town Kenny Brown from the North Mississippi Hill Country still resides in the North Mississippi Hill Country, and was exposed to Otha Turner and all those old guys that lived up in the Mississippi Hill Country, where the ground isn't quite as good, and they've got their own style of blues. Isn't that amazing? You just got this little patch of hills, and it's completely different kind of music. Man, to have been around I know in the abject poverty, and it would have just been terrible to witness it, but I would have just loved to have been around when you go to every spot and there'd be different kind of American music. That would have been well. Anyway, let's talk about this cut. This is Be Your Hoppin' Frog. This is all about Miss Maybelle, and it's small town Kenny Brown, and he's got a nut on for Miss Mabel. He wants to be her hoppin' frog. He got 11 little puppies and 11 big old hounds, and 22 dogs can't run Miss Maybelle down. That's I'm just captivated by the way he can take a 6-string guitar and just make it roar like that. I mean, there was so much jangling, and there was so much sound in that little 30 seconds you played of Miss Maybelle. It's just like, it's just like walking into a cornfield. You're just completely surrounded. That sound just completely surrounds you, and it's so big and so jangly and nasty. And then he stops it and does stop time, and then that even brings more attention when he comes back into it, and how that just propels and pushes, and it's a whole different style. And I got a nut on. That's the second time I've used that right now, but I got a nut on to play Small Town Kenny Brown. I just wanted to hear some Kenny Brown, and so I went to my albums, and I found this, which is really what I wanted to play for you all, just because I like it, and hope you do too. Hey.
I do so as well.
Do, do, do,
They should.
do.
I think it sounds good, so I think they should like it.
It tests your tolerance. I think it's a 4.5 minute song. Can you keep up with that wall of sound for 4.5 minutes? You know, there's a little bit of that too.
It's not bad to give yourself an endurance test every now and then.
Yeah, sometimes you have to.
And we will see if this next track does that or not. Be ready. This will be number 5.
Oh my goodness. Boy, you dropped me right into paradise there. Well, who could it be? I'll have to think about the playlist. Yep. Okay. That's Gary Clark Jr. That's just a great song. I don't know the title of it. It's Off to Somewhere or doing something, just raising hell, going downtown, getting a 12-pack, and be somebody. You know, that's what the song is. Yeah, boy, does that rock or what? Man. Gary Clark Jr., yeah, he's all Austin. He's a product of Austin, Texas, and works out of Austin, Texas. And he's got great rock chops. But he plays all kinds of different things. Anyway, that was Gary Clark Jr., and it rocked so hard, I just wanted to play it. I play some down tunes, but I like playing the rockers off the records. Going through and finding the hottest tunes. So that's part of that endeavor too, Gary Clark Jr. And he's easy to find good rockin' stuff too.
Yeah, Friday night's a pretty good time for that. That is definitely the kind of energy you want to be bringing into that night for a lot of people.
Whether you're cleaning your house or sitting around the campfire or out on your front porch, whatever you're doing in your car, I'm there for you every Friday night. Don't you forget it.
And how about that?
How about that? Playing the good blues for my folks.
Now, do you want to take one more stab at the title?
Six pack. I know it's not right. What is it?
Not even close. It is Gotta Get Into Something.
Gotta get into something. All right. That's the tune. Yep. Well, good to be 21 sometime. I give up.
Yeah, that is a wrap, folks. We have covered all we can cover. And so those were some of the thoughts that go behind a show. We hope you enjoyed taking a peek behind the curtain. You can find the Big Mo Pod Show on kcck.org/BigMoPod, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Cast, and Overcast. The Big Mo Blues Show is on Friday nights from 6 to 10 on 88.3. We'll see you next time.